What's up, everybody? So this video today, we're going to look at the first ever Elestrals tournament that we just had. It was pretty good. I came third, so I'm not going to focus on my deck. I'm going to today focus on a brief overview of the 5 lower decks and then the top 3. So I'll have a video about my deck. Actually, I already posted a video about my deck a while ago, but I'll make a video going over what the playstyle with my deck was and why I did so well with it when I kind of built it as a little bit of a meme. And this video I'm going to go over the 2 top tier decks that had to do a tiebreaker match between the 2 of them because they both ended with a similar win rate. So without further ado, we're going to just go take a look at the tournament standings that ended with. So what we got here. So Axiom went 6-1. Jay Johnny went 6-1. I personally went 5-2. We didn't finish all the matches yet, but it's solidified that I'm coming in third because there's no way anyone can, even if they win all their matches, get to 5-2. So that's where we're at with the standings. And then everyone else, Zane unfortunately definitely lost. He's 0-7, but everyone else kind of has a little bit of leeway to maybe go up and down. So we'll start with Zane's deck. So Zane had a very aggressive water ramp deck. So he had Majesty, he had his Tadpuff, some Sluggles, he had a little bit of Earth ramp. So this is, I don't know if you've seen my video, but I had a video about water ramp very early on. I thought it was going to be really strong. Unfortunately, the part about the water ramp deck with a little bit of Earth thrown in, or really with any element thrown in, is very fragile. So right now, everyone's playing 3 ofs or 2 of the Shield of Achilles or 2 or 3 ofs of Dart or Poison Tipped Arrow as it's actually called. So the deck falls apart, unfortunately, because even when trying to Poseidon protect from targeting against runes, it doesn't protect against Shields of Achilles, and they can hit it with the Poison Tipped Arrow before Trident Poseidon can get equipped to it. So that's why this deck unfortunately did so poorly, because the primary removal that everyone's using right now is counter runes that break the ramp deck, because now it's like if you ramp out Majesty turn 1, great. If they have a Shield of Achilles placed down, they're just going to bounce your Majesty back, so you just spent 4 with your tap off to Majesty to lose basically 2 resources for their 2 resources with shields, get Majesty back to your hand. Now Majesty's stuck in your hand. So that's kind of where this deck really falls apart. We might get some more support for water ramp later on, something that makes Majesty stick a little bit better. I think if you're trying to do the ramp deck, the goal would be to unfortunately play it a little bit slower or play it with Thunder so you can blow up the back row counter runes before you get the Majesty in play. But yeah, unfortunately, he got just destroyed with the deck just because the current removal package is so efficient with counter runes, and ramp gets just super shut down by counter rune removal. So the next deck we have Mutton. Mutton had an interesting deck. So it's a water wind deck with a sideboard that just says, okay, here's a thunder package. So it's a little bit of a slower deck. The goal is generally just kind of stick it out, get like a Spinosaurus or Falcon into play, control the opponent. I think the issue with his deck is he didn't really have the best finishers in the world. Like Falcon's an okay finisher if you can keep it bigger than everything. But it probably has Pigas, Globby, Tap-Off, Eagle, like they're good cards. It's just I feel like I'm looking at the deck and playing the deck. He didn't really have a way to close the game out properly. And if his opponent got ahead in card advantage and control, it came a little bit difficult to deal with because he had 3 Earthquakes, which is good removal, but he basically had Earthquake and counter runes, which is enough removal generally, but he's not doing anything after the fact because he's just playing a lot of these small creatures that lose to combat. Like nothing in his deck gets above 5 except for Falcane, and Spinosaurus is technically like a 9, but everything else is what, 2s, 3s, 4s. So you go up against any wind or fire deck and you're not winning combat anymore. And I think that's the issue with this deck. It's a solid deck. It just lacks a win condition. Jai, I'm surprised Jai didn't come in like top 3 because her deck was like a mid-range burn deck. So you'll see on the screen now, Pandas Interruption. That's the goal of this deck generally is Pandas Interruption. It had a little bit of ramp package to get out of Krakatuga earlier, which was really spicy. And against other fire decks is really good. Just be like, oh, I have a Krakatuga and play with fire, and I can use it to erupt every turn and just keep hitting you that way. I really like the deck. It was a pretty rough game to win. I have all games with Jai. I think Jai, Moo, and Zane. When I played them on stream. You can find those VODs in my on my channel. But this deck is just your standard kind of mid-range burn deck. It's not super aggressive, but it runs some good control cards. It has Equal Links to get rid of runes. It has Kinleos to get rid of runes. It has a Leonite, so you can kind of get a pseudo lock position in with this deck. It's a lot of fun. I really like the deck. It's a good deck. I think she just got a little unlucky with some of it, and maybe there's a little bit she can adjust in it, but overall this deck is a lot of fun to play against, and seemed like a lot of fun to play. And it did okay. Then after that we have Fire Cyclops deck, which was a Thunder, I think the only mono deck in the tournament, which was Thunder. And yeah, it's just a solid mid-rangey Thunder control deck thing. Like, it's weird because it's hard to tell a deck from just the one element. So it's clearly doing Thunder. It just has the Thunder cards, and the Thunder cards are, a little bit harder on the control. But he had some mid-range stuff with Signectric. Getting a Sonicore out shuts down, again, I mentioned earlier, the majority of counter rune removal, which is the priority removal right now in the current meta. So getting a Sonicore out, and if they don't have an Earthquake or a Kindleo out, or a Boombat, you're not getting rid of that Sonicore very easily. And he had like Thunderbolt Zeus to get a little aggro going, so it's definitely a fun deck. I think the biggest parts of the deck that made it really work are Sonicore, because again, super efficient at stopping counter runes. Boombat, great removal. And then just solid, control package. Resting on your Laurels is pretty good. The deck's not trying to stick a ton of stuff down. Like, it has 2 Zeus, but generally Laurels is like, it's just an efficient deck. And it went 2-4, which is okay. So like, it might go 3-4. It would benefit, I think, from adding some other elements to the deck. Maybe running some Earth for Earthquakes, or maybe splashing Fire for some more of the control cards, like I kind of did. But I like the deck. It was good. It worked. Next we have Reapers. Reapers is one of the 2 people I believe that beat me. Let me just double check. Reapers versus Wirtz. Yeah, so Reapers actually beat me. So I think I should have had a better shot at winning than I did. I never drew a single Sonicore in my entire deck. And if you know anything about my deck gets Sonicore or Leonite out with a Hammer of Hephaestus to stop them from basically touching my board with general removal. And his priority removal is the 3 Boombats he's got, and Shield of Achilles. Like, that's his rune removal. That's how he gets rid of things. So if I was able to stick a Sonicore, the only thing in his deck that would stop that Sonicore is Lycavolt and the old Sonicore, but my Sonicore would be bigger because I wouldn't play Sonicore until I had Hammer of Hephaestus out, which is a very consistent combo to get Hephaestus, Hammer of Hephaestus, and Sonicore or Leonite out in my deck. But other than that, this is just a slow control deck. Not super slow. It's got some mid-range options. Like, Spark Hit's a great card to just play down even if you can't get the discard out of it. It's a Thunder discard deck. It has the attempt of being the Thunder discard thing. I really like the Mustachian. Mustachian's just a solid defensive card. Boombats are great. Estrabbit's great. Like, these are just solid, good cards, and the goal is to just slowly burn your opponent out and keep them without cards in hand. And this deck sniped so many cards that I needed in my hand. Like, it sniped Laurels when I needed Laurels. It sniped Boombats when I needed my Boombats out. Like, this card can get very dangerous. We only have 2 cards for it right now, which are Spark and Golden Apple, which you see. But yeah, this deck was a struggle to play against, and every game was like, okay, just gotta get Sonicore out, and I win the game, and I just couldn't stick it, and I lost, unfortunately. And we're gonna skip over my deck again. I have a video already about my deck. I'll make another video. Probably before this video release, there'll be a video, or the same day, about my deck and how I played my matches to win as much as I did. But Johnny and Axiom. So we'll start with Johnny, because Johnny was going into the tournament like the favorite to win, because this Summer Winds deck right here, Aeolus Exaltair, plus a little bit of fire is just such an oppressive combo. So Aeolus, if you haven't played against a solid wind deck yet, Aeolus is the strongest card in the game, I think, right now. Being able to essentially draw a card for one or draw 2 cards for two. So you play it down and you just search for whatever card you need. And since wind has so many versatile just Elestrals, you know, it has Pegas, which can tap something down to destroy in defense position. It has, you know, Pegas to destroy runes, Sorlet to tap things down, like Exaltair to put on the aggro. Like Aeolus just gets you whatever you need in the moment to stick something down and play. And this deck was just super fast. This is the fastest deck in the format right now, which we don't have all the cards in set 1, but for the tournament, this is the deck that just says, I play this card, answer something, and just hit your face as hard as I can really quickly. And it's really difficult to deal with initially, because most of the cards that counter it, like Gorgon's Gaze or Pandora's Box, you don't run in your main deck. So it's just a super fast, aggressive deck that was just really strong. Like the Sorlets, you know, disrupt again. Counter runes are huge right now. So Pegas. Always mix up Pegas and Sorlet. Pegas, destroy your back row before you get your Sorlets down, etc. Like Exaltair to be extremely aggro, because Exaltair a lot of the time is Aeolus to Exaltair, rip 2 off Aeolus onto Exaltair, hit you for 2 because of Exaltair's effect, and then hit you for another 3 directly with Exaltair itself. Like, it's very strong. Necrof is great to just get over a lot of the walls. Panacin to get back, you know, his eruptions, his earthquakes. You know, this is an aggro deck with just efficient removal. And he could, if he needed to, just play slow, hit the removal, and then just hit you super hard after, like, so basically if he's trading you 1 for 1 throughout the whole game, and then he gets an open board position where he can just drop something, he will drop his Aeolus, Exaltair, and just hit you for 5 out of nowhere, and there's 25% of your life, and this might be turn 4 or 5 when you only have 11, 10 spirits left, so he just hit half of your remaining spirits with that combo. It's really strong. But he did get just shut down by the number 1 deck. Actually, I think Johnny technically won the rematch. So Johnny did win the tournament. I'm just not listed here. My apologies. Axiom, who came in second. Actually, J. Johnny came first, but Axiom came in second. Axiom had the slowest control deck in existence right now. 12 Elestrals. That's like your bare minimum. You don't run less than that kind of situation. And just every control card in the game. Like 3 Earthquakes, 2 Gorgon's Gazes, Nectar of the Gods for drawing cards, Resting on Laurels. Like, this deck never has a board state, so he just efficiently says, okay, you play a creature, Resting on the Laurels, it's gone. Pandora's Box is in the main deck. Poison Tip Spear, Shields of Achilles, Tornadoes for efficient removal, Tsunamis. Like, it's just, when I played this game, the third game was just, I draw a card, pass turn, and then on his turn, drew a card, pass turn, and we did that for like 5 or 6 turns because we both had runes down and no way to break each other's board because we were both playing control decks. This deck was just so difficult to play against, and I could see why I did so well, because if you're looking for like a control deck to just start up, like, this is your starting control deck. Just all your efficient control cards, a few efficient creatures just to close out your game with. It's a little bit difficult to play because you kind of have to figure out when you start pushing with your... Because if you lose a couple of your creatures early, you only have 12 in the deck. You're going to run out so fast. So it's a great control deck. You do kind of need to play it safely in a sense where you need to know when to push with the deck, but that's with any deck. You need to know when you push and when you hold back. But yeah, so that's the overall tournament. Again, like, we didn't see any Earth decks, which I think Earth until recently is probably one of the weaker elements, but with the addition of the new card Rummagem, Earth is going to see a lot more play, I think. We saw a lot of wind. We saw a lot of thunder. We saw a lot of water, but the water decks didn't do so hot. The decks that did the best are the decks that are generally running wind and thunder. So I think wind and thunder might be the top 2 elements right now, followed by, like, I think Earth is up there now. Fire is really, really strong there. So a lot of decks splash fire because fire is some aggro, has some control cards. But yeah, that's generally a tournament. There's going to be another tournament popping off somewhat soon, so you guys might want to check that out. But until my next video, peace, like, subscribe, etc. Have a great one.